other way.
Maggie Berry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise happily to talk to the Local Government Act 2002 Amendment Bill. I well remember when it came in, actually. It was the dark days of Labour. Political correctness was at its absolute height. They were redefining everything. Light bulbs, shower with a friend. It got too nonsensical for words. And this is a piece of legislation that absolutely is long overdue. Let's have a little look at it, shall we? These so-called four well-beings. Well, what exactly does that mean? It means that suddenly local authorities are getting involved in NCEA pass rates. They have targets for this. Hello, get back to your core business. This is what this piece of legislation is looking to do, and it will do it because we have the courage to address these issues, unlike Labour that ushered in a lot of stuff and nonsense that is too expensive and utterly unaffordable. Let's have a little look at it, shall we? We heard Nick Smith before, who knows a great deal about this, looking at the way in which the spending has grown. It has quadrupled since 2002, from 2 billion to 8 billion. What have we got? A lot of stuff and nonsense and political correct rubbish, which has to go, and it needs to go. And this piece of legislation is going to tidy it up, and we've got the courage to do it. Because, frankly, local governments can do better. They must do better, and this bill aims to ensure they do. We will make sure that they are consistently measured across the country so we can see the poor performers. We can get a heads up if some council is running amok with unaffordable, ludicrous sewerage schemes. The ratepayers need protecting. They need protecting from people on the opposing side of the House, actually, because they are the sort of people that would borrow us into the sort of indebtedness that Greece would envy. It is a ridiculous situation, but we have to look at it really strongly. These four well-beings were always ludicrous, and now when we look at what we can do, we need to provide affordable and reliable services. We need to focus in on the basics. It's all very well to talk about NCEA passes when you've got potholes on the road, you've got stuff and nonsense happening all through the electorate. I live on the North Shore. We have, in my electorate, people on fixed incomes who are really hurting because of the way the rates are being hiked by a big spending mayor who lives on the other side of the harbour. He's got big plans for rail. It's not going to solve any of the issues that plague us on the North Shore with transport, nor is he going to necessarily put the kind of money into the infrastructure that the people on the North Shore are used to. These are people that deserve to be able to stay in their own homes and not to face the kind of rate hikes that the profligate spending has brought upon them. And it's wrong and it needs to be stopped. And this is a piece of legislation that is actually going to do something about it. So legislation is going to help councils, give them more tools to keep the debt down and the rates affordable. If they don't want to, they'll be brought into line. Accountability, greater efficiency, effective and affordable. These are alien notions to the other people on the other side of the House. They couldn't run the government that way, they can't run their party that way, and they let local government run amok in this way. They need to be pulled back into line, and fortunately we're here to be able to do it. So stronger council governance, which is labelled a threat to democracy, now that really is drawing a long bow. How typical that they would bray and bleat about such measures. They need to be kept under control, we need to keep the debt down, and the rate, as I say, is the strongest thing. So, council governance. Let's look at it. Central government will be able to assist struggling councils before the situation becomes critical. Elected council representatives will actually get stronger powers. If you listen to some of the chatter in classes, you'll think that they're actually having their rights reduced. In fact, mayors will be happening in the development of plans. They'll be able to do more. They'll be able to actually appoint a deputy mayor and committee chairpersons. They will have a stronger leadership role. Leadership, of course, is a very touchy issue across the House. There's a lot of Davids clamouring for it. There's a Grant and no doubt a couple of Jacindas as well, all sort of vying for the absolute void of leadership which exists across there. But on the other hand, with the local government reforms that we're bringing in, mayors will be able to be held accountable and they'll be able to make more decisions about how the council is run. Again, it's about accountability, a word that the opposition know very little about. They probably wouldn't even know how to spell it. Although if they get their NCEA pass rates up with local government, they might be getting a bit better. We plan it in a different way. Government does the governing, local authorities deliver the services. It's a pretty clear distinction, and I think it's probably an important one, and that's why this piece of legislation is needed. So we'll do as we usually do, ignore the chattering classes and their cheap political points. I've been interested to see actually that they're trying to knock gardeners. Now, gardeners are people who are, along with the farmers, these are good people in New Zealand. Suddenly, though, on the other side of the house, that we're being told that gardeners are no good, that they don't have a role and a place. How ludicrous, how sad is it for the opposition that they're attacking gardeners, they're attacking people in their own backyards, doing their bit to save the planet. They've really lost their way and lost their direction. This is, of course, not news to us. But I return again to the statement, which is that this Local Government Act 2002 Amendment Bill is an excellent piece of legislation. I support it unreservedly, as does my North Shore electorate, and as we do here on the sensible side of the House.
Chris Hipkins, this is a split call.
It is indeed,
Mr.